So the piece that I'll be performing this weekend is entitled Trickster Coyote-Lightning Elk, and it's a piece that I commissioned from Malcolm Forsyth, and it's based entirely on Native American themes. So some original music, but written in the style of Native American music, and some of it is actually authentic chants and songs that were performed in the Native community over the past many hundreds of years. And the reason that I had this piece commissioned was because I'm Mohawk, and I was born in Ganawagi, Quebec. It's a reservation that's just off the island of Montreal. And I wanted to have music that incorporated both my native heritage and my classical training as a violinist. I've been playing violin since I was 3.5 years old, so that feels like a language to me. But to be able to express a little bit more of who I am personally as an artist, I thought that would be a really exciting venture to go and commission a work, since there really wasn't anything available out in the repertoire that already encompassed Native American music and classical violin with orchestra. So, so Malcolm wrote, actually it took a long time to commission this piece. Malcolm was a very busy composer in Canada, preeminent, and was commissioned by many artists and foundations to write works. And when I first contacted him, because I loved his music, I thought his South African heritage would lend itself really well to sort of crossing over into Native American music. And I contacted him just kind of out of the blue, cold call. Will you write a piece for me? Here's my idea. And he said, well, you know, that sounds very interesting, and I'm really busy these days. Why don't you call me back in a couple of years? So I put it in my calendar, and I called him back 2 years later, and he was incredibly shocked that I even did that. He's like, nobody ever calls me. I always tell people, call me in a couple of years, and they don't. So I think just the fact that I was very persistent won him over to a degree. Plus, he was in fact very interested in the subject matter for this piece. So the concerto, I think, turned out brilliantly. It's 4 movements, and it's based on the number 4 being very important in Native culture. He divided the piece into 4 movements to reflect the 4 directions, 4 cardinal directions, and they're extremely different from each other. You have the first movement, which is based on a traditional chant. The words don't actually mean anything, but it's just sort of very rhythmical and a little bit dancey feeling. The second movement is based on the eagle, and that one is very soaring, beautiful, sort of, you hear the wind, and I picture, you know, snow-capped mountains and this eagle flying. And then the third movement is the bear, which is very introspective. The bear sort of on his, you know, hibernation and being sort of reborn every spring as it emerges from hibernation, and the dreams that it has while it's hibernating. It's just very sort of reflective and very strong and sort of deep kind of movement. And then the fourth movement is 7 arrows, and that is extremely lively. It's kind of wild and crazy. It has these big tooties, and Malcolm uses the orchestra fabulously well. It gets all wild and crazy, and there's some warrior-like sounding music, and then we come back to a traditional chant again, a peaceful lull, and then it gets all happy at the end. Very, very lively music. And I am thrilled to be able to play this. I played it in Canada. We had the world premiere almost 2 years ago, and this is going to be the US premiere of this concerto. And I'm just so happy to be able to play this with Virginia Symphony, because I've been here for 9 years, and all my dear friends and colleagues have been so supportive and are excited to play this piece with me as well. So I think it's just the perfect situation to be able to perform it here for the first time in the US. The sounds that would be identified probably most easily as Native American would be the sound of rattles and of a native drum, which are used almost throughout the piece, and also the use of authentic songs and chants and dance music. So you'll definitely recognize that sort of pentatonic influence, and the flute as well, and actually surprisingly the use of the harp sounds very evocative of Native American music, and it just kind of worked out beautifully that way, even though obviously there's no harp in the Native tradition. And I think just the fact that the music itself draws very vivid pictures, at least in my mind when I play it and when I listen to it. There's just a lot of imagery in it. Like I said, with the eagle is the easiest one. When you hear that, you hear sort of whistling sounds and tremolos and the rustling of feathers, and the cry of the eagle as well. You'll be able to hear that in the violin part in the third movement, and so there are all kinds of different elements that come together that give this piece a very definite flavor. Alright, so I'm very excited about what I'm going to wear for this performance. Darcy Moses is an incredibly talented and skilled designer, and he's from the Northwest Territories, native designer. He's done a lot of fashion shows, high fashion, and he designed a gown for me that I wore many years ago that was based on a Haida blanket, button blanket. And I asked him if he would design something for this premiere, and it was a little bit of a rush because we hadn't been able to talk for quite some time, and he said yes. He said, I can definitely put something together, so I'll be wearing a bustier that he designed, and it has native beadwork on it, and it has wolverine trim on it as well, which is also traditional native, design, customary for different kinds of winter clothing and stuff like that. So it's absolutely beautiful, and I'm thrilled that he was able to complete it just in time, and I was able to try it on actually last night for the first time. It looks beautiful, and I think that's also going to complement the feel of the whole performance, and just kind of bring it all together with that element of design.